Well, good morning and welcome to Redeemer Lutheran Church. I'm Pastor Gary Lodeholt. I couldn't believe that while I was on Mount Carmel, I saw a lightning strike. We've had a lot of rain in the past week or so we're spending time this week exploring Bible stories where rain is involved. And nowhere is rain more significant than in the story of Elijah on Mount Carmel. It's one of my favorite Old Testament stories. Once again, we return to the ongoing problem ancient Israel had with the worship of Baal. I'll remind you that they frequently had a problem with people abandoning true worship of God in order to worship Baal, a stone fertility god whose job it was to provide rain for the crops. God's prophet Elijah called them all back to worship God instead, and in order to prove which God was the real God, God told Elijah to tell the people that it wouldn't rain for 3 years. That's a pretty devastating blow to a society that depended on crops for survival. But it's a more devastating blow to Baal, who was powerless to stop this from happening. However, the queen at the time was Jezebel, and she worshipped Baal, and she was none too happy with Elijah and threatened to kill him. So Elijah fled, and God had a sit-down talk with him and sent him back. Finally, Elijah offered a confrontation on top of Mount Carmel, which sort of juts out into the sea in northern Israel. If it rains anywhere in Israel, it rains there. So the 400 priests of Baal assembled there on one side, and Elijah was on the other. Elijah challenged them to build an altar to Baal, sacrifice a bull on that altar, but not to set fire to it. They should pray to Baal to send down the fire. Well, they tried. All day they prayed and implored Baal to send down fire, while Elijah taunted them that perhaps Baal was asleep or using the toilet. Nothing happened. Finally, Elijah did the same. He sacrificed a bull and then had 7 jars of water poured on the altar so that everything was drenched, and there was even water in the trench around the altar too. Elijah prayed one brief prayer, and fire fell from the sky and consumed the bull, the altar itself, and all the water, even in the trench. If you wanted to know which God was real, the point had been made. There's a little bit more to the story. Elijah slays all 400 priests of Baal, but then just before he leaves the mountain, God sends him to look out over the sea. And there Elijah saw a cloud rising up from the horizon. The cloud grew until finally it brought rain on Israel. In fact, the Bible says that it was a heavy rain. So when I was in Israel, on the day of our tour, one day of our tour was cloudy and gray and rainy, and that was the day we went to Mount Carmel. As we were leaving the mountain, I was looking out of the window of the bus, and I saw a flash of lightning, fire from the sky, if you will. Far too often, we cling to other things for security in our lives when we need to realize that God is the only true God. In the drought of our lives, may God bless us with the rain of God's grace. Thanks for watching, and remember to let this day belong to God.